Hello there, a very good morning. This is the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I am Therunee Karunaratne, and as always, we're coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. This morning too, we have the details on all the top stories from here at home and around the world. But we'll have to start off the bulletin, of course, with the very latest developments coming in with regards to the conflict that was there in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. Now, US media report that an initial assessment by the US Defense Intelligence Agency, or the DIA, claims that the recent American strikes on Iran have only delayed Tehran's nuclear program by a few months. However, the assessment has triggered swift denials from top US officials, with the White House and Pentagon both rejecting these findings. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt dismissed this report as flat out wrong, while the Pentagon stated that Iran's nuclear capability had been obliterated by the strikes. The contrasting narratives come amid ongoing scrutiny over the effectiveness as well as the consequences of US military action in the region. Meanwhile, a tense ceasefire between Israel and Iran appears to be holding, with both governments publicly acknowledging that the truce is indeed in effect. Now, the cessation of hostilities follows a dramatic intervention by US President Donald Trump, who earlier accused both Israel and Iran of breaching this agreement. Now, despite the fragile calm, both Iran and Israel have claimed victory in the recent escalation, fueling concerns over the future stability of the region as well. Iran says at least 610 people, including 13 children, have been killed and that at least 3,056 others were wounded since Israel launched its attack on the 13th of June. In Israel, at least 28 people have been killed, reportedly by Iranian strikes. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump is currently attending the NATO summit in the Netherlands, where defense spending remains a primary focus among alliance members. However, the ongoing Middle East tensions and questions surrounding US intelligence assessments have cast a long shadow over the summit's agenda. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel Nimal Bandara said that 213 Sri Lankans have registered with the embassy to return to Israel once the situation in the region is stabilized. Meanwhile, 37 Sri Lankans have registered their intention to return to Sri Lanka, with 8 individuals having already arrived in the island. Ambassador Bandara expressed optimism that the situation in Israel would see significant improvement by the end of today. With that, we move on to more local news for this morning. Now, a dedicated task force has been appointed in order to eliminate ragging in all forms of violence within universities as well as higher educational institutes in Sri Lanka. Now, the task force was appointed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Training, Nalaka Kaluvava, under the directive of the subject minister, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. According to the Ministry of Education, the eradication of ragging from universities and other higher education institutions is a top priority of the current government. In addition to addressing ragging, the task force is also mandated to prevent any form of violence perpetrated by students against fellow students, as well as by or against academic staff, non-academic staff and administrative authorities within these educational institutions. The task force comprises 16 members and aims to introduce systematic changes to ensure student safety and institutional accountability. The ministry further stated that proposals have already been made to establish institutional level units under the guidance of this task force in universities and other higher education institutions across Sri Lanka. Now, 22 students from the Southeastern University of Sri Lanka have been suspended following a disturbing ragging incident involving first-year undergraduates of the university. The suspension was imposed after a group of second-year students from the university's Faculty of Engineering allegedly subjected a batch of first-year students to inhumane ragging practices. According to the registrar of the Southeastern University, M.I. Naufar, An internal inquiry has been launched by a committee comprising academic staff to investigate the incident thoroughly. The incident gained public attention after a video recording of the ragging session was circulated widely on social media platforms. Now, as a result, the university administration initiated an internal disciplinary probe. In addition to these university actions, the Akkarai police have also commenced a formal investigation into the matter. And in more local news, the Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government has announced the commencement of recruitment for 30,000 new positions in the state service. Minister Dr. Chandana Aberatna stated that qualified individuals will be selected for various staff level roles, including public administration service, planning service and scientific service. Additionally, essential vacancies such as management assistants and Gram Nilidari officers will also be filled through this initiative. All recruitments will be conducted through competitive examinations. This marks the first large-scale public sector recruitment drive in nearly 7 years. And we finally move on to your weather forecast for today. The Met Department says that showers will occur at times in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Nuwara Eliya, Kandy, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers may occur in the northwestern province as well. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batiklo districts during the afternoon or night. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills and in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces, as well as in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Let's move on to another international news item this morning. Allow me to shift your attention to Gaza. Now, at least 46 people waiting for aid have been killed by Israeli fire in 2 incidents in central and southern Gaza, according to rescuers and hospitals. UN agencies have condemned the US and Israel-backed food distribution system, with one official calling it an abomination and a death trap. Such deadly incidents have recently become a near-daily occurrence, but have attracted relatively little attention outside Gaza since Israel attacked Iran more than a week ago. Without including the latest deaths, the UN has said that more than 410 Palestinians are reported to have been killed by Israeli gunfire or shelling since the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, began work in late May. While GHF is officially classed as a private organization, it has opaque funding and is backed by the US and Israel. It uses armed private security contractors as well. The UN and major aid groups have refused to cooperate with the foundation, accusing it of cooperating with Israel's goals in the 20-month-old war against Hamas in a way that violates humanitarian principles. And finally, onto your sports news this morning. In sports, it's cricket. The second test match between hosts Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is set to begin today at the SSC grounds in Colombo. The 2-match test series is part of the ICC World Test Championship. Now, the first test played at the Galle International Cricket Stadium ended in a draw. Sri Lanka has made a couple changes to the squad ahead of the second test. Dunith Vellalage and Vishwa Fernando have been included in the lineup, replacing Angelo Matthews, who retired from Test cricket following the first match, and Milan Ratnayaka, who has been ruled out due to an injury. Now, there are reports that Sonal Dinusha could also be included in the playing 11 for today's match. So far, the two sides have faced each other in 27 test matches. Sri Lanka has won 20 of these encounters, while Bangladesh has secured just 1 victory. 6 matches have ended in draws. The match is scheduled to commence at 10 a.m. today. And that brings to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I am Therunee Karunaratne. Thank you for joining us this morning, and do join us tomorrow as well for more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.